Hello, you're on Initiative Africa. My name is Asha Sampit. Welcome to this new edition of your weekly magazine featuring Africa on the move through smart innovations and initiatives that work. Let's get on with the show with our top stories today. Two African women from the diaspora of Cameroonian and Congolese origin want to revolutionize the export market for agricultural products from the continent thanks to new technologies, and they also want to find new ways to make a social impact. Katia Koseke and Noéla Ligon, co-founders of the startup Fresh Africa, are our guests this week.
Today we allow French consumers to have access to products from sub-Saharan Africa, which are consumed in the same way as they can be consumed locally.
Shrubs transformed into herbal tea, a recipe that helps fight malaria in Africa. The Artemisia plant is growing in popularity.
Did you know there are areas where there is no pharmacy? The idea is to promote this plant while we develop a drug, because the ultimate idea is to manufacture the drugs locally.
How to produce and consume locally while alleviating the inflationary effect of the war in Ukraine on food products. An association in the Central African Republic is looking for the solution.
We do not produce, but we support local producers. We want Central Africans to consume what is produced here at home.
Malaria, one of the most feared diseases in Africa, continues to wreak havoc. In the face of this scourge, a plant has been making a lot of noise for years. Artemisia, a shrub which can be cut several times a year and which is transformed into herbal tea. In Africa, some have made it their mission to promote the virtues of this plant. This is the case of Sostène Massamba Kolela, founder of the Agria Loango Educational Farm near Pointe-Noire in Congo. Our journalist Jean-David Mihamle and our cameraman Brice Kinhu visited it. Take a look.
We are at the HQ of the educational farm Agria Loango on the Indian Point near the seaside town of Pointe Congo. It's here that Sostène Massamba Kolelas decided to promote the cultivation of Artemisia, a medicinal plant. The goal is to help the Congolese to understand and take benefit from this plant to fight effectively against malaria, one of the most feared diseases in Congo in particular.
Did you know there are areas where there is no pharmacy? The idea is to promote this plant while we develop a drug, because the ultimate idea is to manufacture the drugs locally. But we're not ready. We don't have the means. So, while waiting for drugs to be produced locally, we are offering this alternative solution, which is Artemisia herbal tea.
According to WHO, in 2019, 94% of cases of malaria and death related to this disease are recorded in Africa. With 41% of Congolese living on less than $1 a day, according to the latest figures from the World Bank, access to healthcare is difficult. Artemisia then appears as an alternative and not a rival to conventional medicine.
There is often this misconception between conventional as opposed to the traditional medicinal approach that we offer. Artemisia is a choice that is given to Africans. The conventional, in other words the drugs, or the natural approach, which is herbal tea. There was never any question of the producers of Artemisia saying, don't take this, don't take that. Freedom is a very good thing. To live is to choose.
To carry out his project, Sostène Massamba built the Loango Educational Farm on 6 hectares. Representative of the House of Artemisia in Congo, he also aims to transmit to young people the benefits of working the land and the benefits of organic farming.
Here we are at the Agria Loango Educational Farm. At the same time, the HQ of the company Artemisia Congo. There are several activities here. We have Artemisia, where we organize both training about Artemisia, its cultivation and production. Then there is the educational farm component, where we receive schools that bring children for nature and discovery outings. Also parents who bring their children as well, and adults who wish to learn about gardening tips. We also organize training in agroecology in particular, composting. So basically, this is what we do.
Voilà, grosso modo, c'est ce que nous faisons.
Either way, Artemisia enthusiasts say they are satisfied with the product. Artemisia, I think that's a good thing. It's a good medicine that I discovered a year ago through friends who told me about it when I was sick. Once I took it, I was completely relieved and still continue to take it. I think it's a great product to recommend to people. All in all, mastering the culture of Artemisia is a major goal for Sosten Masamba. Hence, regular training sessions on the cultivation and consumption of Artemisia.
How do you grow Artemisia?
Je creuse d'abord le poquet.
I dig the hole first. I put the manure.
Voilà. Avec le
Mixed with manure, with this compost, this is how we plant Artemisia. And then I water the plant.
Je mets l'eau.
The Artemisia looks like this, in a packet that contains 40 grams of herbal tea, dried Artemisia leaves. The dosage is indicated on the back, how to prepare herbal tea. To put it simply, as we do in rural areas, you unpack the content, you divide it into 7 parts. Why 7? Because you're going to take it for 7 consecutive days. Each portion is equivalent to 1 dose. You put in an infusion, a liter of boiling water at 100 degrees with large bubbles. You remove from the heat, you take the potion, you infuse, you cover, you wait at least 15 minutes. You filter, and the liter is to drink during the day.
Sosten Masamba, who proudly claims the status of peasant, continues to cultivate his garden, proud to have turned his passion for agriculture into a profession.
As I mentioned earlier, our 2 guests this week, Katia Kuseke and Noella Ligon, co-founders of the startup Fresh Africa, want to boost the agricultural export market to Europe to the delight of consumers of fresh and organic tropical products in France. Their mantra is transparency and traceability, requirements that they have drawn from market observation and their passion for African cuisine. How to ensure quality from seed to plate. This is what they explained to Laurent Soustras and Thierry Schiller.
Katia Kuseke and Noella Ligon. Hello. More than a year ago, you created Fresh Africa by Cano, the first 2 syllables of your names. What do you bring to the market of tropical products?
So what we can say about bringing something new is, for example, the quality of the products. Today we allow French consumers to have access to products from sub-Saharan Africa, which are consumed in the same way as they can be consumed locally. So this is the experience that we want to give back to the French people. And in addition, what we bring is the traceability and transparency of these products, because at the moment, if you go to the supermarkets, for example, it's difficult to know exactly under what conditions tropical products were produced and by whom. And that's what we're trying to do with Fresh Africa. Complete transparency and traceability on the routing of products.
You're Cameroonian and Congolese by birth, but you have lived in France for 9 and 15 years. How did you come up with the idea of this food fridge between Africa and France?
Yes, I arrived when I was 9 years old. I grew up here, but I have always eaten these products at home. My mother cooks it every day. I prepare other meals, but she always makes food like from home. And so seeing her experience in sourcing the products, she goes to Chateau Rouge every Thursday, for example, because she knows that those are the days when the fresh produce arrives, and all the difficulties she encountered. It gave me the idea. I said to myself, why couldn't we digitalize this process so that the products arrive directly at her home without her having to go anywhere? By going and researching a little bit, and that's when I realized that beyond that we couldn't have any traceability on the products, because this opacity could hide the fact that there are sometimes children working in the fields or adults who are undergoing modern slavery. So we said to ourselves, why don't we go and get these products ourselves? Because it's our home. Our grandparents are farmers. We know how to get to these territories, which are a bit isolated. And that's how we set off. I went to get Noella, and there you go.
Et aussi, donc, comme vous l'avez dit, nous sommes vraiment...
Yeah, well, as you said, we are indeed children of the diaspora. And so, in fact, Fresh Africa was thought of as a circle, really. The notion of a bridge is essential between the north and the south and the north. So it's also by making multiple trips, by walking around fields on site, farms. We see waste on site because you have to know that nearly 50% of products go to waste at the farm stage in Africa. So we said to ourselves, this is not possible. These are products that have value, and there is a need here. So that's one of the reasons why Fresh Africa was born.
Donc voilà, c'est entre autres une des raisons pour lesquelles Fresh Africa est né.
Thanks to blockchain technology, you guarantee quality, transparency, and traceability from seed to the plate. In concrete terms, how is this possible?
On va faire simple, en fait.
Let's keep it simple. The blockchain will act as a trusted third party. It's like a notary, for example. The blockchain is the decentralization, quite simply, of information.
Tout simplement des informations. Donc, admettons que on est,
So let's say we have a shipment of pineapples that leaves Africa. This information will leave, and instead of being stored in a place where we could manipulate the information, if we had malicious intentions, well, this information will be distributed on several computers all over the world.
Malveillant, ben là on a cette information qui va être répartie dans plusieurs
And that will prevent, actually, humans from falsifying it. This is the possibility of decentralizing information, and this is a trusted third party that remains digital.
Et voilà, un tiers de confiance qui reste numérique.
And technically, how does it work? You're going to have a producer who has his pineapples ready to go. He will send us a notification saying, I have such quantities of pineapples that are ready to go. So we have someone on the field who will come and collect these products. When he comes, he checks the information provided by the producer and sends that information. It's the same thing. As long as this information is correct and fits, the process continues. If at any time you have information that is not correct, for example, the products arrive at a place and some of them are missing or the quality of the refrigeration has decreased or is not correct, at that moment we receive that information. We can stop the process, know which batch has been affected, avoid coming to remove all the batches and know precisely where we have to act.
Voilà, donc en fait la blockchain va intervenir.
So the blockchain secures the reliability of information so that it cannot be corrupted. And also, as Kathiad has just said, it's to be able to trace the information quite simply. That's it.
Voilà.
Is it not too complicated for farmers in Africa? What interest do they have in working with you? And isn't this blockchain scary for an African farmer?
Je dirais que de la manière dont nous on leur
I would say that the tools we provide, take any producer today, they have WhatsApp. We have simplified as much as possible the process they had to go through to provide us with the information. We don't ask them to do anything. We have to stick to their habits. We simplified things as much as possible so that they could send us the information. And then, in terms of the interest that it can create, we wanted to put the producer back into the picture, as he doesn't exist today in this whole import value chain. We know that the products arrive, we know that they come from somewhere, but we never know who makes them. We don't know how they were treated, paid, or what they went through to make these products. And in fact, it was important for us to provide this information. So in fact, this is one of the main roles of technology. It's to fix this problem that we had noticed.
Réparer un peu ce problème-là que nous on avait constaté.
L'agriculteur est central en fait vraiment dans
The farmer is central, in fact, really in the project, and the blockchain is our blockchain. We are the ones building it. So the farmer, just like the transporter, is the actor of this blockchain. And all we do is store this information and make it reliable. So for them, it's an entirely transparent process. All they have to do is confirm that the product has been put in the ground at a specific time. It has been harvested at a specific time. They send us that information and it is stored. That's it. So the idea is to make it as easy as possible for everyone.
Le plus facile en fait et pour tout le monde.
Welcome back to the second part of our show. As you know, the war in Ukraine continues to put pressure on the prices of agricultural raw materials. In the Central African Republic, expenditure on wheat imports can reach 17 billion CFA francs per year. Substituting a large share of wheat in the production of bread and other foods with maize or bean flour saves money. But how do you increase local production and consume locally? Our correspondent in Bangui, Bertrand Médard-Gaimas, tried to answer the question by visiting the Yeti Kodro Association, which promotes local Central African products. Take a look.
Helped by her daughter, this street food hawker has just fried kose, galettes made from peas. It's a local product fancied by Central Africans of all ages.
These kose are made with peas that we buy on the market. It costs only 25 CFA francs and is bought by everyone, whether young or old, school children and workers alike.
Consistent and filling, kose serves as a morning sub-base. It's very popular among both national and expatriate consumers. Although peas are not grown in the Central African Republic, beans are widely available in the country. It is found on the menu of many households and in school canteens in the Central African Republic.
Let's turn on the fire to prepare the rice and beans. Soon the students will finish school and they'll be hungry.
Golden and a delectable smell rising from the koses, they are appreciated for the energy they provide and are as irresistible to school children as it is to the passers-by, whether on foot or by car.
The first thing that attracts you is their delectable smell when you pass by. Secondly, they're nutritious and cheap. Just 2 or 3 of them with a drink, it's yummy and filling. It gives you all the strength you need to get through the day.
Kose are among the products marked by the Yeti Kodro Association, meaning things from the country. It is appreciated in the same way as the other products promoted by the association.
Here in this package, there are bean leaves. You won't easily find them in the supermarkets. This is millet flour made by us in perfect sanitary conditions.
The association's first initiatives were launched in 2016 in Bangui, the capital. It has since expanded its activities to 2 other cities in the country. Since the start of the war in Ukraine and the difficulties encountered throughout Africa in obtaining supplies of Ukrainian wheat, mobilization is the mantra to mitigate the situation.
We do not produce, but we support local producers. We want Central Africans to consume what is produced here at home.
In the Central African Republic, the prices of essential commodities such as flour, oil and sugar, to name but a few, are already rising.
For several weeks now, we have been witnessing a surge in the prices of essential commodities. And these are the goods that are imported, unfortunately.
The war between Russia and Ukraine is penalizing us. A bag of flour that we used to buy from the wholesaler at 30,000 CFA francs has become 40,000 CFA francs. We're forced to sell 1 kilo of flour, which used to sell for 750 CFA francs, at a retail price of 1,000 CFA francs. That's a lot.
All vendors' eyes are on the Central African Republic authorities. They are especially concerned about the situation in the country, which is known for its alliance with Moscow.
The Prime Minister, head of government, has set up an interministerial committee to propose actions that could prevent our country from suffocating.
L'action stratégique et à moyen terme.
The specific action aimed by the Ministry of Trade and Industry is about reducing our dependence on imports.
À réduire notre dépendance à l'importation. Pour cela, nous encourageons
To this end, we are encouraging and directing our investors towards local products processing in collaboration with energy, agriculture and livestock ministries.
De l'énergie, de l'agriculture, de l'élevage.
Yeti Kodro does not limit itself to local food production, as it is highly involved in the economic development of the country. In 2021, it was awarded the Orange Prize for Social Entrepreneurship in Africa and Middle East, designed to encourage innovative associations. And one of its initiatives has been to set up a workshop called Kayina, in which craftspeople and also the youth with some sewing skills can come and work on machines made available to them, exchange ideas, and seek advice from other experienced sewers.
The name Kayina means to share. It is the Kaba dialect of the Central African Republic. Share what? Sharing the experience between dressmakers. Right now, we have 6 young girls working from Monday to Friday.
I did not come to Yeti Kodro as a sewer, but as a marketing agent. Within Kayina, I gradually became interested in sewing by learning to knit from my sisters in the Kayina workshop.
A wide-scale presence in Bangui and the sub-prefectures of Paoa in the northwest and Buea in the centre-east of the Central African Republic, Yeti Kodro is living proof that despite economic and food crises, such as the one caused by the war in Ukraine, solutions can still be found through initiatives and the will to return to traditional local products.
Let's now get back to our guests, Katia Kuseke and Noela Ligon. The two co-founders of the startup Fresh Africa have shared with us their analysis on the food and inflationary crisis threatening Africa. You will see they are rather optimistic.
Katia and Noela, as co-founders of Fresh Africa, how do you analyze the current inflationary food crisis in Africa?
Paradoxically, I think this crisis can be an opportunity because it can give Africans the chance to reappropriate their wealth. After all, until now, they are unfortunately victims. Even here, we realize that wheat imports came mainly from Ukraine. But we have ancestral cereals, so I think this could be an opportunity to turn to these cereals. Some countries are self-sufficient, so I think it's an opportunity. We have to take it like that.
You are looking at traditional farmers at Fresh Africa. But should we focus on ecology or use enriched or hybrid seed techniques and fertilizers to improve yields?
Ça, c'est une bonne question. Je pense que ça, c'est une vision ça dépend vraiment.
That's a good question. I think that's a vision that really depends on the people themselves. I don't want to criticize those who do things differently, but I think we have seen here that with the European model, we have reached the end of all these seeds that are hybrids. Even here, we're trying to return to traditional agriculture. So would it be the right solution today in Africa to go towards a solution that has not worked elsewhere? I don't know. We have to ask ourselves the question. And, on the other hand, many different techniques can replace these hybrid seeds. We can talk about permaculture and agroforestry. Wouldn't that also be a way of testing? We know that other plants can be used to chase away, for example, certain small beasts or insects that will attack certain plants. Can't we use nettle as a fertilizer instead, and so on? And that's why we're going to work with small producers who still use ancestral methods, a juxtaposition of methods, food crops, and crops that are a bit more commercial. So there you have it. The question has never arisen, in fact.
And do you feel support in Africa and awareness in this field?
It's incredible, but yes, I didn't expect that we would realize that people there think like over here. They need this traceability. Likewise, they are cautious about what they eat.
Ils font très attention à ce qu'ils mangent.
For them, the notion of organic means that nothing has been added to the products, and they want to keep it that way. Moreover, this is one of the evolutions we're moving towards. It's that we've realized that we don't just need our products here, we sometimes need to leave them too, to bring them back to the city, as they say over there, so that the people there can enjoy them. So I think that we really have the same way of thinking as the people in this area.
How do you see the development of your startup in Africa, given the constraints that can sometimes be found on the continent?
Alors, ce développement, il doit se faire avec la
So this development must be done bearing in mind the constraints of each country. We must not forget that Africa is above all a continent. So 54 countries mean 54 different realities.
De prendre connaissance du terrain.
It means getting to know the territory. It's about going on the field and not just sourcing producers directly. In each country we open, we have to go there, meet the administration, see where things are blocking, where there are maybe blocking points and find solutions.
And the willingness of countries to export still helps in combating certain obstacles?
Totally. In fact, there is this will. It comes from two sides. There too, we find it here in France. We feel that they have an increasing need to work with Africa and perhaps abandon agreements with China or other countries. And we as young entrepreneurs will be pushed by the CPA, which is the Presidential Council for Africa, which supports us a lot in the field and in some of the countries in which we're working. And on the other hand, we feel that there's a vast facility to get products out in these other countries. There are already agricultural policies in place, and in addition, when we get to customs, it's quite easy for us. We have taxes like VATs that do not exist. The agreements between France and Cameroon, for example, and the Congo, in many countries where we work, we don't pay a substantial share of taxes.
Your conception of impact is far removed from previous decades' development aid or food aid. And you have a solution? Fresh Rafiki. What is it about?
Well, the
concept of impact for us was quite simple. The first question was this: why did we have this mission towards Africa? Because it's part of us. When we arrive and buy products from an African producer, I see my uncle, aunt and grandfather. I don't just see a salesman, and it's a bit difficult for us to leave and say to ourselves, okay, we paid them the right price, we gave them the money, and you can manage. But to see that there are children, mothers who come with babies on their backs on the fields, children who don't go to school, and it was out of the question for us to come as like some NGOs might come. They hold out their hands with their sides, and we wanted to do as much as possible to bring back something that could be done without this bias. And once again, we thought about technology, about blockchain.
On a pensé encore une fois à la technologie et encore une fois à la blockchain et donc les Fresh Rafiki.
So, Fresh Rafiki is simply the tool that we found. So the NFTs that we are going to sell to customers here will allow us to act on the impact on the ground.
Tout à fait. En fait, l'idée, c'est...
Exactly. In fact, the idea is to create a community where the owners of these NFTs, of these Fresh Rafiki, could have an influence, a look at our actions. So here we're talking about actions, about everything that concerns the social impact entity, and therefore would have a right to look at these actions and a right to vote as well.
Sur ces actions-là, et un droit de vote aussi. Voilà, tout simplement.
You buy a Fresh Rafiki, which gives you the right to vote. And the idea, for example, is to say to our community, okay, so we are going to a village called Piti, which is 30 kilometers from Douala, the economic capital of Cameroon.
De Douala, la capitale économique du Cameroun.
We realized that there was a need for a school and a kindergarten, so there we created a money pot by purchasing NFTs. What actions to prioritize so the community would vote and we act on it? It's really the impact at all levels.
Impact à tous les niveaux.
Another example, for instance, we could be guarantors so that producers on site can access to microcredits. Because today we know they reimburse their microcredits very well. Still often, they have difficulty in obtaining them because they don't have a guarantor behind them. So this is one of the examples, one of the levers we want to use to have an impact on the field. Because Rafiki has a meaning. Yes, it means friends, but friends in the sense of brothers in arms. So it's something that is very powerful. It's Swahili, by the way, and it's very powerful. So actually for us, it's fruit and vegetables. Yeah, it represents fruits and vegetables. It's the fruits and vegetables that are helping us to change this world and change the current paradigm in Africa.
Katia Kuseke and Noella Ligan, thank you very much.
Merci à vous.
Well, that's it. Initiative Africa is over for today. You can, of course, find Katia Kuseke's and Noëlla Ligant's interview and the replay of our programs on our news website, africaonair.com. And, of course, you can also find us on all our social media channels. Feel free to share, like, and comment with the hashtag Initiative Africa. And don't forget, next week, same time, same channel, I'll see you again with a new edition of Business Africa. Have a great week, everyone, and goodbye.